All right. Good evening once again, and you are welcome to this session. Just confirm to me that you are able to receive feedback, or like you can hear my audio, so that I know I'm not talking to myself.
We can hear you, CPS Steven.
All right, Moses, Tony is there. I see Jim Mugerwa, I think was the first person to come in. Fantastic. And in case you're not getting audio, probably you might have to check your gadget, but everything is fine, I believe. So today we are here for one main objective, and that is strategy, governance, and leadership. So I welcome you all to this very first class of cohort May 2025. And I'm very much excited to share with you this paper, and I hope you enjoy. There are still people joining, so when you see me just go quiet, probably I'm admitting people. Okay. Let's just admit everyone who is joining. If you just joined, you're welcome. You might need to reshare this screen. Okay. Sorry, guys. Just having issues with the screen sharing. Okay, let me use this. So, once again, you're welcome to my class, and I'm happy to have you here. I'm very much motivated by your presence on this very first class. It means you guys are serious, and the main reason you've come here is strategy, governance, and leadership. So we shall always be having this class just like this on Zoom, and the recordings will be shared with you after class. So let me just take you through briefly what it means to be in this class. Although we are having issues with the screen. The screen keeps freezing. So we are going to introduce strategy today. It's all about us to understand what strategy is, what the paper is about, what we are going to look at from A to Z, and what you should expect from me, what I expect from you at the end of this whole course. Because it's a course, don't take it like an exam only, but you need to understand that you are doing a particular course called Strategy, Governance, and Leadership. This course is it's composed of three major items, which is strategy, governance, and leadership. Then it has those other topics, as we shall see. So what are the lessons to be learned from this course? I prefer to call it a course because if I call it a subject, maybe you may not appreciate so much while you're studying this course. So the whole course has 10 core areas. I believe some of you have already watched there is that recording which I shared on the WhatsApp group, where I had outlined to some former students, I think, August 2024 sitting, where I was laying out the topics that are involved in the paper and what you need to do in order to excel in this paper. It's a small YouTube video. I think it's 45 minutes. So I believe most of you have seen it. In case you haven't, there is no problem. We shall still talk about a few of those things here. So in this course, you are going to learn strategy. Which strategy is business strategy. Then at the end of this course, you are going to learn leadership. Leadership in the sense that every business has leaders. So you are expected to not only study leaders, but also be a leader yourself at the end of the course. Then there is what we call human resource management. Human resource management is one core aspect of the subject that you're expected to know as an accountant. As an accountant of the future, as you give advice, as you provide leadership, as you provide strategy on how to build an entity, then part of strategy will involve dealing with human beings. So you will have to deal with the human resource aspect of all things. Then we have marketing, that for every business success, there has to be an element of marketing management. So you will be expected to have knowledge about marketing, meaning how businesses are able to put themselves out there to the clients, their target clients, and what kind of products, services are being dealt in by this entity that you are leading, this entity that you're providing advisory, this entity that you are giving strategies, what kind of products or services are they offering. So we are expected to know what marketing is all about. But in your consultancy of advising these entities, you are also expected to ensure that these organizations continue to grow and to develop, that these entities will continue to develop along their process of business as they try to achieve their strategic objectives. What strategic objectives? Every entity is formulated for a purpose and their vision. So those goals have to be achieved through how they are developed. So there has to be an aspect of organizational development. And in case there is a change, like there is a lockdown or COVID, like there is disruption of technology, you are expected that your client, which might be a school, is able to manage change from the physical classes into the online classes, for instance. Then managing information systems, we are in a digital era and we are expected as the advisors, business advisors, to ensure that every aspect of the businesses that we deal in as employees, as advisors, as consultants, that every entity has an element of information systems in it, how they are managing their data, how they are managing their record keeping, how they are managing the development of information systems, how are they managing that, the ethics around their information systems, the data of their clients. So we shall learn all those aspects of information systems. Then governance. Governance is a core element of every entity, that every entity is led by people. Okay, so these people that are leading the entity are the ones who govern this entity. And that governance, that leadership by those people has to be transparent. It has to be honest. It has to live ethically, so that these elements, the bad vices of corruption, mismanagement, are managed properly. So you want to ensure that every entity is formulated in a way that it is balanced. The leadership and the people that are given responsibility of managing this organization are doing the things ethically, and they are transparent, so that the shareholders are able to benefit from this entity. So that's why we are going to learn about governance. Then when we talk about risk, we are very sure that along the way, as we try to achieve our vision as entities, as you, the advisor, as you try to help your clients, your employer to achieve its goals, there is always an element of risk. That risk will come in. It can be risk of data loss. It can be risk of maybe theft. It can be risk of employee safety. Any form of risk can emerge in an environment. You know, a workplace, a business environment is an environment. Now, that environment is prone to risks. So, ICPAU or the accountancy profession demands that we are well aware about the aspects of risks in every business. And it is in this paper 14 that you are expected to know elements of risk. Then a business environment, a business entity is an area of operation. There are products or services being produced in this area. It is like a factory. It can be a factory itself. It can be a business environment. So this business environment has operations that will be going on. So you, as an accountant, as a business advisor, as a business consultant, is expected to understand elements of operations management. Then the profession demands that in this course, for people who have just joined, we are not calling it a paper. We are now calling it a course, because you are doing this course called paper 14, strategy, leadership, governance and leadership. Now, in this course, there are certain contemporary issues. Those contemporary issues are, the word contemporary is emerging, the present trends, the current affairs. Something current is called contemporary. It may be aspects to do with benchmarking. It may be aspects to do with whistleblowing. It may be aspects to do with even technology. Some aspects of artificial intelligence is very much contemporary. So you are expected to know, even if you don't know so much, but you need to have a hint of certain aspects like artificial intelligence and so on. So those are what we call contemporary issues. So these are the lessons that we are going to cover in this course. In summary, these are the core elements of the syllabus, which we shall go into details when we begin to learn this course. I want you to be someone who is not only studying to pass this course. The moment you fix your mind on, I want to pass the paper alone, you may miss out some things. And those things that you miss out are actually the things the examiner may bring in. I usually talk about having a broad view of what the subject is all about. The name of the subject is strategy, governance, and leadership. So I expect that you go to this paper when you know that you are going to be examined on strategy. You're going to be examined on areas of governance and areas of leadership. Then these are the core elements for you to achieve that. So that is a little overview of what the subject is all about, in case you didn't watch that video that I dropped on the group. It's in that video that I again spoke about how the course is, and it's in that video that I again spoke about the syllabus and so on, but without wasting time, because we learn from our previous sittings. You find that maybe I used the whole weekend to just talk about the syllabus and so on, but this time I will be a bit faster, that I don't go in deep talking about the syllabus, but just to show you an overview of what it is all about. Because that's why lecture number 1 is very important, so that someone who has been worried or who has been uncertain of the future, maybe you've been uncertain of what the subject is all about, now you know that the subject is rotating around these areas. Of course, I've just put them into 10 points, but if it is a big book, you might get a big book of about 500 pages. Of course, again, I try to give you a summarized version of the big book. So I provide you with the big book, which is a hard copy, and your workbook. The workbook is a soft copy, but you can still print it. But the workbook is usually a summarized bit of the big book. So you can go hand in hand with the two. Then the requirements for class. Now that you're here, it means you have already met some of the conditions for being in this class. It means that you have registered with our email link on WhatsApp group. Although some people might not have registered using the link for the Google form, which is okay. But initially, I thought maybe I would just drop the link on emails only. But since it's a free class, well and good. Everyone, even those who haven't registered on the Google form link, can join, which is okay. But I encourage that you ensure that I have your email, so that next time you always get the link in your inbox on the email, because that email that you provide me is your asset. It's what I will always be dropping hints, some of the hints which may not go to the public on the WhatsApp group. Then you ensure that you receive links to the class, yes, then attend lectures. I prefer to tell people that if you don't have time to okay, let's begin from the positive side. In case you have time to attend these live classes, it is very okay that you attend, so that it is less tiring than when you have time to attend a live class, then maybe you ignore, then you'll watch the recording later. It's a bit hard to find that dedication to sit down, let's say for 2 hours, to watch the recording. But when you're here in the live class, it's a bit you feel like you are not alone. You're like with someone. You're with other people in the same environment. But on recording, you feel like you are alone, and boredom kicks in. Of course, some of the techniques of reading, I'll be dropping some of the ways that you can maximize productivity. Those are some of the bonus tips that we always give as benefits to our students. Then if you are really busy or it collides with your programs, then there you have to access the recordings. Good thing, the recordings are easy. They are not 3-hour long recordings, but also it's been proven scientifically that you can, if the recording is playing slowly, you can watch it at times 1.5. The retention rate of watching a video at normal versus times 1.5, one times 1.5 is like forwarding it, making it play a bit faster, because these live videos, they are natural, they are normal, they are not edited in a way that whatever the speaker says is clean. Like this live class, The video is not edited, it is raw. But like when you go to maybe watch a certain video somewhere, you'll find the video is so smooth, you're like, wow. But that video is usually edited, and there is that cut where the producer cuts off those filler words, maybe where the speaker is saying, they cut those ones so that it is smooth. So the good thing with the recording, you can watch it at a faster pace, especially if you're a fast student. You want to just watch faster. Okay, that's for the benefit of recorded classes. Then you ensure, of course, you watch them. You also allocate time. If today, Saturday, we had a class and that class took 2 hours, then if you were busy between 6 to 9 p.m., maybe if you're free at 10 to midnight, then you also allocate the same hours for that particular class. Then you need to have a notebook and jot key points in class. It keeps you engaged. You don't get bored, you don't get lazy, and it gives you a reason to account to yourself that you have attended a lecture. Then you are free to ask questions. You always unmute yourself and ask questions. You are free to do that anytime. You just unmute yourself and say, excuse me, I have this question here and there, and you'll be able to ask questions where you need clarity. And in case after class, maybe you're this person, an introvert, you can inbox me on WhatsApp or call me and ask whatever you intend to ask in relation to the paper. Then, yes, everything has sacrifices. I always tell people, it's probably one of the one of the most common statement I tell people. Yes, you need to sacrifice, especially when it comes to achieving success. You need to sacrifice, pay a commitment fee, preferably 100K by end of Jan, and yes, the money you pay for the paper always. It's a sacrifice. People who are Christians, it is biblical to sacrifice. That's how God created humans, that you have to make a sacrifice in order to make an achievement. Sacrifice money, sacrifice your time, sacrifice short-term what happiness or satisfaction. Commit to make sure that you do your studies and achieve what you desire. So thereafter, you make full fees, which is 270K for the full package. The full package is you attend the full class live, you get the recording, you get the hard copy of the book, and you get also the workbook, which is the soft copy. Now that workbook, I always include links for the recordings in case you're this person who has a laptop and sometimes you want to just read as where you feel like this, I should have watched this recording. Instead of you going all in one place, within the notes, you will get the recording for that class. Then you first watch the recording, then you go back to the notes in case you prefer that, or you prefer to print out the workbook so that when you print out that workbook, it's what you'll use to fill in the gaps on your personal research, to boost it and make it, you own it. A workbook actually makes you active. It makes you participate in designing your summary. And that process of you participating is part of your revision. And please, the workbook is only shared to those who have completed the tuition, the soft copy. But the hard copy is processed for those who paid 50%. Please, you make sure you tell me that I've paid this 50% and I need my hard copy book so that I make sure it is print on demand. So I make sure within like 3 days, it's printed and delivered to you. You make sure. It's a bit hard to keep track of everyone, but when you remind me on my inbox, you get your hard copy book. Then the goals, of course, the goals for this class. What are the goals? The goal is to ensure that everyone passes the paper. We want to ensure that we pass strategy, leadership, and governance exam. But as we pass, we at the end of it all, we understand why we are learning paper 14 and apply it in real life. I want by the time you end this, by the time you're done with this course, it should be a course that adds value to you as a CPA, adds value to you at your employment, and adds value to you as a person. And I've always told people I can drop you a hint on how you can monetize your knowledge. Usually, I do that in the live classes. People of recordings, you may miss out some of the hints because I don't record them. Because like after the lecture is when I can uh, teach those other bonus things like AI, how you can monetize your knowledge, the digital tools, the trends of the new economy, how you can be ready like the future accountant. You know, there are now new trends. The profession of accountancy is one of the ones which are declining in terms of the future, and the artificial intelligence, technology are the ones which are fast rising jobs. So that doesn't mean now that accountancy is useless. No, it means that you need to pivot yourself to see how do I use my accountancy knowledge to be the future accountant? How do I transition myself from here to there where I want to be? Which tools can I use that make me a better accountant and irreplaceable accountant in my organization, and an accountant that can start a business and provide value, creation of value. How do you make impact? All those things, we'll talk about them in the live class, and you may not find them on the recording because I'll stop, like I'll finish the lecture, stop the recording, and then I begin talking those things, those other bonus things. Uh, then yes, it is in this. What are the goals of this class? The goal number 3 is you make sure you make friends who have shared goals. Usually, the shared goal is excellent. You want to excel. You want to meet people who have the same goal like yours of excelling in this paper, but not only in this paper, but in the profession. And you have discussions with these people here and there. So you want to have people who can discuss with you, add value to you, and you get done with the paper. So evaluation. Yes, my class in August we had I think a 99% pass rates, but December I think the examiner got annoyed because very many people passed in August, probably, and December was a very rough sitting for students of strategy, and I think I had a 50% pass rate for my class in particular. From the people who've told me they've passed, and those who've told me they failed. But once I saw those who passed were reaching that limit of about 50%, then those who failed, I think, okay, the people who came to me open were about 4, and they were positive. They were like, they will come back very strong and ready to take on this paper. So for us, we always evaluate ourselves and see how we can improve. You will if someone is maybe redoing this paper from me, you will notice a drastic change from how I will deliver this sitting in terms of class delivery compared to the other one. There will be an improvement. So I always keep on improving every other sitting. So that's it briefly for bringing you on board. Thank you. I remain Stephen Okiria. And in case you have any questions, then this is the time to ask questions before we now go into the real business, because I needed to spend about 30, 40 minutes on that. In case anyone has any question, yeah, I've spent roughly 40 minutes. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? You can mute yourself and ask a question. If you have any questions, I should be able to answer a few questions here and there.
Good evening, Mr. Stephen. Called Muzaffar.
Yes.
And my question is, when you say that I have to pay 100,000 commitment fee by January and then 270 for a full package, is 100,000 part of 270? That means when I pay probably 100,000, the balance will be 170. Or
yeah,
I want to be clarified.
True. I think that's an oversight on my side, but it means that commitment fee is part of the entire fee. So commitment is like a deposit on the 270. So the total fee is 270, no doubt about that. So you can pay 270 and forget about it, or if you want to pay in installments, you pay 100 end of January, then maybe clear the other one probably in March or April, like that. So I believe that is okay. Because right now, between now up to end of Jan, people will still be saying, January is, well, we'll push up to end of January. Then by end of January, at least everyone should have made a commitment fee. That's what it meant. Then after that, you clear the balance later on. But if you're this person who wants like material, of course, there's no way I can give you material when you haven't committed. So commitment is basically to give you access to material, and but for the class, I'll always allow you to be in class, and because January is about to, we are almost mid-Jan, so like 1 or 2 weeks, and we are ending January. So that is it. Any other question?
Yes, good evening, Stephen.
Good evening.
Mine is
Maureen.
related to his point. I would like to know if there's a special consideration for us who have been with you.
Actually, I think another person asked me about that. People who were with me last sitting, you have a discount, and I think maybe I don't know if I should announce the discount for people. People who were with me, you pay only 150K for everything.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. Let me see here. There is this other aspect I needed to show guys. Yeah, so basically we have what we call our revision action plan. This one is for people who will be on recordings. This you'll find it in the notes, where you study their questions related to a particular topic, like strategy, introduction, internal environment analysis. These are trial questions. Yes, if you have a question bank, or if you can access ICPAU website and download them, you should be able to download them and do some of the trial questions. But this time around, again, I'll be doing trial questions from class. Then there'll be like that for the whole syllabus. Now, but also we've done some analysis where we believe that if you do marathon revision, in 21 days, you should be done with the whole syllabus, especially if you're this person who wants to get ahead and you've paid the full fees, you unlock the whole course and we've done an estimate of the hours that you will take as an individual on what do they call it, self-paced learning. If you want to do self-paced, if you want to do day two is like 1 hour 30 minutes. That's what we are saying. Day three is 1 hour 20 minutes, based on the hours we've spent on the recordings. These are the hours you will spend on the recordings. So approximately 40 hours. If you're this person who is organized and you want to get things done, approximately 40 hours, dedicated hours. You can see how you can divide it. If you have your 40 hours, how do you divide it? Maybe across a month or 2 months. There you'll be able to have covered at least the entire syllabus in terms of learning. Just if you want to just to learn the whole syllabus, we believe in 40 hours should be able to learn the whole syllabus. So I think we've done with the environment, the whole environment of strategy, what the class is about. So let's go to the real business of why we are here. And let me just share my screen. All right. I'm using the soft copy workbook, and now I want to bring your attention to class now. We are done with that grammatization of what the paper is about. Now we are in class. Yes, there are question banks. I haven't yet determined the fee for question banks, but usually question banks can be can be printed. Our printer guy has question banks. I think they're usually, is it 15K? I'll need to establish the fee for question banks. Someone is asking about question banks. Then someone is asking, just a moment. I'm going to increase the font. Then someone is asking about advanced FR and paper 14. Paper 14 is strategy. Maybe you meant paper 15, I don't know. If it is paper 15, if it is advanced FM, Mr. Dimak Joseph does paper 15, FM and advanced FM. Advanced FR, we've partnered with the Innocent Ainemani, is the one who handles that paper very well, and we trust him for that. Yes, so advanced FR and the public financial management, Innocent, I think that is Excel Professional College. Then financial management is Mr. Dimak Mutatina Joseph. Advanced FM and financial management, then integration of knowledge. He was a top student countrywide for integration of knowledge. So he does FM and advanced. The FR, Innocent, FR and PFM. So I believe that's what you wanted, unless I have. Let me just widen the screen for this. Okay. I should increase the font. 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 。 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 .
。 .
. 。 . 。 . 。 right. Is that font okay now? Hey, someone, I don't know which photo someone is saying. I think it is displaying my photo. I believe. Let me see.
Displaying your photo in the screen.
Oh, let me change that in the settings. Sorry. Just give me a moment. I change that in the settings. Instead of because that setting is a speaker view. Just give me a moment. This setting is probably going to take some time to adjust.
I really don't think there's any problem with the setting. I don't think we should waste time change the setting. It's okay. There's no problem with that.
All right, but I will check it maybe in the back end for the next lecture, because that, like when someone is speaking, it will bring that person's profile and all that. I think it's distracting. It's true, it can distract, but all right. So today is probably supposed to be day 2, although it is day 1, and we want to ensure that day 1 is usually the other one of the syllabus, and that video I shared you. But day 2, we want to go direct into what they call business strategy. And when we talk about strategy, we are talking about thinking about the future of the organization. The organization is formed in a way that it has its goals, it is objectives, why it is formed. This concept is taught in most of the business management. It is taught in financial management. Why do we form a business? In order to achieve value for the shareholders, to make profit. But strategy now comes into play to say, how do we reach where we want to go? Okay, that is now what strategy is. If we want to be a $10 billion entity in Kampala over the next 10 years, what are we going to do? That is strategy. We are going to take certain stages. We are going to take certain steps in order to reach a certain level. That level of being worth 10 billion. If it is 100 billion, you have to make plans. So those long-term plans is what we call strategic plans, because they are not plans anymore. They become strategies because of the duration, the time. It is long term. If it is 1 week, 1 month, those are monthly plans, monthly goals. But you are talking about 5 years, 10 years, then they become strategies. Now, even every organization, you've heard of a manifesto of NRM, FDC, for the next 5 years. They come up with a strategic plan Vision 2040. You must have heard of these things. Now, those are strategic plans. Now, the people who write those campaign programs, they are doing strategy. They are releasing. You will wait and see this year. The campaign manifestos will be released. They will be releasing their strategies, what they think and feel will take Uganda to Vision 2040, middle income status. So even for a small business, even for an SME or a big company, a conglomerate, every company has to come up with a strategy. Now, what does this strategy involve? We are saying that this strategy involves an element of four-stage model. The core element of strategy, it follows 4 stages. Now, this 4-stage model is what we follow when we are designing a strategy, when we are coming up with that strategy. I believe now you have a picture of what a strategy is, because you need to know it in a real practical sense, that the strategy is what the organization wants to go into, what they are planning to do, achieve. So how do you come up with this strategy? So if the examiner wants to examine you, he will either talk about a strategic plan or strategic planning or strategy. All those words, they mean the same thing. So you can be confused because you've not heard about a strategic plan. They are now telling you to design a strategic plan or strategic objectives, strategic goals. All that is strategy. Now, to come up, or for an entity to come up with that, it follows a model or the key aspects of this designing of the strategic plan are 4 major stages. One is what we call scanning the environment, where we have to scan the environment of the business. Now, in this case, you are the consultant. Remember, you're a business leader, you are a business advisor, you are a business growth consultant. Actually, after this course, you will be able to name yourself any of those titles: business consultant, strategic consultant. You can call yourself, those names. But that is after the course, you will be in position to call yourself those titles, because you would have understood what you are saying. And a consultant, the definition of a consultant is anyone who has expertise in something. So don't think you are very far from calling yourself a consultant. Now that I have given you the title of a consultant, you should position your mind in that from today, that you're a consultant, you're a business strategist, you are a corporate leader or corporate strategy expert, and that is the position that I want you to wear. That is the uniform, that is the badge that you should carry as you learn this course. Now, a client has come to you that give us consultancy in terms of business strategies and consultancy, business consultancy. One thing that you are going to do when you go to this client, before maybe you've given them a quotation of 10 million, 5 million, one thing that you are going to do to carry out this assignment is that you are going to do what? A 4-stage model. You are going to do, number 1, environmental scanning. Scanning the environment. This scanning means you are putting a magnifying glass. We studied what a magnifying glass is. You are putting that mirror that will expand your view of the business, gives you an understanding of your client. That is what you are going to do. You are first of all going to understand this client, this business. So how do you understand this client? you are going to analyze both the internal and external environment. In common knowledge, what is an environment? Environment is our surrounding, right? That is the P4, I think, definition that they gave us, or P2, our surrounding and the things that surround us. Now, even when you're analyzing the environment of the business, you are going to scan it. It is called environmental scanning, but also another name for it is position audit. You are conducting an audit of where the business is as of now, that the client has called you that we want to hit 10 billion in the next 10 years. So you have to first understand, are they in position really to hit 10 billion in the next 10 years? So you have to scan this environment. That's why it's called a position audit. You are analyzing their internal and external environments. Now, when you analyze that, you identify, because you are not just analyzing for nothing, you have an objective. Your objective is to identify their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What you normally call the SWOT analysis. Now, once you do a SWOT analysis, you do that situation analysis. Another name for it is situation analysis. We shall look at them in detail later on. So you come up with the situation of this business at that point that you have been hired as a client. Now that you know this business, you are going to formulate a strategy for them. Okay? You are going to formulate a strategy and say, okay, I'm going to develop strategic objectives for these people. Say, okay, 10 billion in 5 years. Right now, what is your asset base? So, okay, right now you are at 3 billion. Okay, so the next is to increase by another 7 billion in the next 5 or 10 years. Okay, so what are the key performance indicators? Then you see how to design action plans to achieve those strategic objectives or goals. So you design, you begin consulting with them, asking the people there how the revenue is earned, and so on. So the third step is implementation. There has to be an implementation of the strategies that have been laid. Okay. Then under implementation, what are you going to do is to allocate the resources efficiently. Maybe you make sure the right people, the staff are doing the right things. They are assigned tasks which are aimed at achieving the strategy of the organization. You've seen political parties hiring LOCs and so on. Then you execute the plans through coordinated efforts, have various meetings, they do certain forms of marketing and so on. So you execute those plans coordinated in a way that you will achieve your strategy. Then, of course, you need to don't wait towards the end, because if the strategy is in the next 5 years, you want in the middle of the term, maybe in the second or third year, to monitor your performance. That's why you see politicians, they shuffle the cabinet. So that's part of evaluation and control. They have noticed these politicians are not achieving our objectives. So you reshuffle and change them, because you are trying to make necessary adjustments for improvement. You are not going to wait to the end when your strategy is not achieved. Even organizations can hire new people within, because they are seeing this strategy has to be achieved in certain ways. So we need to increase our human resources. We need to lay off some staff. Maybe we need to buy certain type of machinery. We need to bring in things into this organization for us to achieve our strategic objectives. Like maybe you don't have a marketing officer, but in your strategy, you are talking about marketing. Sincerely, you will have to bring in a marketing consultant. Maybe you want to improve revenue collection, but the finance office, it doesn't have someone in charge revenue collection, accountant revenue. So you will have to bring in this person on board so that your revenue collection targets are achieved. So you make those necessary adjustments for improvement. So this is these four. Of course, they are not entirely four only, but these are the four major stages of formulating a strategy. The environment scanning can be split into two, formulation can be split into two, and they go into 7. But these are the core elements of formulating a strategy. These are the same elements that you will follow if you're designing a strategic plan. These are the elements if you are asked about strategic planning or strategic formulation, however much they want to twist the words. If there is strategy in it, and it is strategy. Okay, so let's go and look at the major first one, which is environment scanning. That how do you scan the environment? I have already said scanning the environment or strategic positioning. You want to position the entity in a strategic manner, or position audit. All these three are called scanning the environment. So at this level, you are expected to know that environmental scanning is strategic position, and it is also position audit. So tomorrow you'll be asked, conduct a position audit for this client, for NSSF. Conduct a position audit for Uganda Clays. Conduct an environmental scanning for Chira Motors. So you should be able to understand what they mean. Or when people are discussing on TV, we can do a strategic positioning. Then you will be in position to understand that they are talking about understanding the environment of the client. So internally, now that we are understanding the environment of the client, we want to understand what is found inside. We are now looking at environment, but which environment? The internal environment. The internal environment of any business is composed of what? Inside. Okay, picture. Put this picture in your mind. Inside where you work, if you're working. If you're not working, inside that business, that place you feel like going to work, what do you expect to find there? You will find human resources, the people, which are the staff. You will find, let's say the leaders, the management, the senior management, the board, and so on. You will find assets, buildings, land, machinery. Those are the assets of this entity. You'll find them. Okay? Then, if you're to look at outside the boundaries of that organization, the external environment, if you're to look at it, what are you going to find? You are going to find all factors and conditions outside the organization's direct control. So internally, these ones are directly controlled by the entity. They are directly under the control of the entity. Okay? But external, the entity does not have control, or it can not influence the operations and the decisions of the entity. For example, outside the walls of DMAC in Tinda Primary School, there is a police station. So in Tinda Primary School, cannot influence directly the decision makings of the police, okay, outside that police post near it. you know. So that external environment can be micro or macro. The micro is the immediate one, like that police is very near the boundaries of that Intinda primary school. But the macro environment is this one, which is very far. Let's say the whole of Kampala region. Because Kampala, Intinda is found in Kampala. So you are looking at now Kampala or the greater Intinda. If it is a part of Kampala, or it is Chile, I don't know which division that is. So that is the micro context of the external environment includes the competitors, the customers, the suppliers, and the regulatory bodies. The people that those are the micro external. But these elements, they can impact the entity's performance, the strategies, and the overall success. For example, if people change their preferences, say, this in Tinda is a primary school, like if it is a government, let us go to this private and the Kaboja, okay? Maybe government can also say, no, all schools must close. Of course, that is an external environment. Government has already regulated closing schools, shut down, okay? So these external elements, they impact the operations of the organizations. Those are usually micro external. So that is briefly what the external and the internal environment is, okay? You look at the organization, those within the entity and what it can control, and those outside the boundaries of the entity and its control. It is what we are. Why are we doing the internal and external environment analysis? Because we want to understand the position of the entity currently. Why? Because if you look at staff, how are they? Are the staff numbers enough? What is their remuneration? Who are these people? Are they qualified to do that job? Are they experienced? Does the entity have the sufficient assets, or the assets are few, or they are obsolete? The computers are outdated, the softwares are old. Are they ahead in technology? Those are the things you are looking out for. You are trying to understand. That is what they call scanning the environment. If you are looking at externally, what is government overtaxing these entities? Are they competitors? Which kind of competitors are competing with this entity? What are they doing exactly? Is it mentioned in the case study? So all that is what you're trying to understand. That's why we are calling it position audit. Now, externally and internally, you're not just going to understand them directly, like we've discussed. In this course, there are tools, like in your briefcase, as you're going to the client, you always carry your tools, okay? Maybe your laptop, your pen, maybe your book for standards. But in this case, you also are equipped as a consultant with certain tools to perform your duty. Now, there is a tool by a scholar called Michael Porter. Michael Porter is a scholar, is a professor, okay? So he's called Michael Porter. This is an individual. So he came up with different strategies, different tools that we shall use in this subject. And one of them is the Porter's 5 forces model. Okay? And this tool is used for analyzing industry attractiveness and profitability. If you want to understand how the industry is, maybe the client you have gotten is an Italian who wants to invest in Uganda, in Kampala, and he has asked you to perform a business consultancy, and one of it is how attractive the industry, let's say how attractive teaching professional courses is in Kampala here. So you are not just going to scratch your head so much, because Michael Porters has a tool for us. You can decide to use this tool for understanding the industry, how attractive the industry is. So this attractiveness of the industry falls under the micro external environment, that environment, immediate environment that we were talking about, immediate to the entity. So if, for example, you want to understand how attractive and what is the potential profitability when in case this Italian is to invest in Kampala. Okay, so that is why you are using Michael Porters. So how does the examiner confuse you? The examiner will tell you to assess industry attractiveness or analyze industry attractiveness. Then you know the examiner is tasking you with Michael Porters 5 forces model. You can use this tool. Okay, so this tool consists of 5 key factors that you can use these factors to determine how the industry is. That's what we are trying to say here, that one of these factors is the power of new entrants. If the industry is telecom sector, you are trying to assess how easily new competitors can enter that market. Okay, potentially they may reduce profitability if it is very easy. So here we are going to use the keywords: how high or how low, how easy or how hard. So those are the keywords that you are looking for. You are asking those questions in your mind. You're asking your mind, how high or how low, how hard, how easy. So whenever you're talking of Michael Porter's forces, that is the approach that you are going to be using. In your mind, you are reading a case study, you are assessing the industry attractiveness, or you have been asked to use Michael Porter's 5 forces. Now you are saying force number 1. Now, please, these forces are not in any particular order. That is the advantage. So you are not forced to remember an order, but you are supposed to know that there are 5 forces. 1 is the power of new entrants, power of buyers, the bargaining power. So sometimes in some books they can call it bargaining power of buyers. Then the bargaining power of suppliers or power of suppliers. So all are the same and the one. They are the same thing. Then the threat of substitutes. Substitutes are what? Substitute products, or what you call substitute goods. Anything which is a substitute means it can be used in place of the other. Then you have competitive rivalry, that these entities can compete. Okay, so these 5 forces, I was talking about the power of new entrants. You want to see how easy is it or how hard. Why are we using these questions of how high, low? Because you are most likely, you are doing a research, you are doing an assessment of already an existing market. Kampala is already existing. You are now, Porter's 5 forces is asking you, you are going to use it as a tool to determine how attractive that industry is. So you are going to ask yourself, the power of new entrants, how easy is it that new entities can enter? How high? So it can be high barriers to entry or low barriers to entry. But once we see something like it is a high barrier to entry, we are saying that, such as, for example, patents or high initial investment to start a telecom company or to start a bank in Uganda, there is a high barrier to entry to begin a bank. Okay, Now that barrier can make an industry attractive. That's why there are capital requirements. Actually, the Bank of Uganda increased last year. Yeah? So what are people who are in banking, what are the capital requirements to start a bank? You know? Anyone? Okay, maybe that, but you can do that as your side check. To start a bank, you need billions. Just to first put there in BOU, I think 20 billion. Okay? That's not part, actually 10 billion, I think, is what you first put there. That's not your operating capital, no. It is like a deposit that you first make to the central bank. So that makes the banking industry attractive. But if it was low, it means anyone can enter that market, like transport. Yeah, anyone can enter into transport, buy his border. Yeah. That's why there are very many border people in Kampala, because the barriers to entry are low, regulation low, licensing low, everything low. So border business is less attractive nowadays. But those days when border was okay. So that is an assessment. The word to assess means you are determining two perspectives. Is it high? Is it low? And usually, as we shall see in the future when we're doing numbers, how the examiner twists the words in the case study. We shall be able to see live in a question how to apply Michael Porter's 5 forces. Then the power of buyers. Now you're looking at the different buyers, the bargaining power of buyers. Now you are evaluating the customer's bargaining power. If the buyers have strong power to bargain, the prices are going to go down, and this is going to affect profitability. Okay? So the profitability of the entity will be affected. But if the bargaining power is low, the business can set its prices highly. Like national water. People don't have much bargaining. Electricity. We don't have much bargaining power. Of course, we have solar, but still it's not penetrating. Water, we have those other options, but it is not like national water is competing with another water supply. It is not like Umeme is competing with another electricity. So our bargaining power as consumers is low. So the prices, that industry of energy and water is very profitable. But if it was low, if their bargaining power was low, that's why border people, if you bargain, if this one refuses, you go to another one. You bargain until you get the one who is willing to take you at a lower price. Power of suppliers. This one examines. To examine meaning you are still assessing. You are assessing the supplier's ability to negotiate prices down. You know, some suppliers have strong power. Now, like the people who supply us telecom, airtime and data, those people can increase costs. You know, if, for example, I am buying data to conduct this lecture, my supplier of data is Airtel and MTN. You know, they have strong power and they can increase costs and they can reduce my profitability because I'm paying for data for them all the time. But if my bargaining power was if the power of those suppliers was low, it means my business has a chance of succeeding. Threat of substitutes. this one, you need to understand what a substitute is like, because it will be described in a way that you will notice that this one can replace this. This product can replace this. It is like a substitute to MTN is Airtel, Leica. Okay. So MTN and Airtel are fearing the threat of Leica in terms of data. But if the threat of Leica was high, it can limit the pricing of MTN and Airtel in terms of their profitability. Although that telecom is an oligopoly market. But those are, then lastly, the ecosystem of the business, that environment. There is what we call competitive rivalry. You now assess how competitive the industry is. Is there a high rivalry between MTN and Airtel and other telecom players? So you may find aggressive marketing and the different strategies, as MTN is having MTN Marathon, Airtel is having Kabaka Run. So there is competitive rivalry. Of course, that kind of rivalry in this affects profitability in the industry. But if it is low, then it means profitability is going to be high. So by assessing those 5 forces, you can better understand the competitive position and you will develop strategies. Sometimes part B say now develop strategies on how to enhance profitability. Such questions, like if you're asked to develop now strategies, we may not teach you in class, but you will be able to come up with some of the strategies, depending, because even if we teach you strategies right now, if I teach you based on a telecom sector, tomorrow the examiner may ask you based on food sector. Okay, so this is where flexibility is very important. So inside this, I think I was reminding myself when I was designing this note. No, now this is an illustrative photo of the various examples that you need to see when you are doing a number or when you are doing your revision in a case study. We are saying that if, for example, I want to understand the threat of new entrants into this industry, I'm looking out for things like how long does it take to get a license to start a money lending company, and what is the cost of becoming a money lender? I'm using different examples of this. The graphic is the words are too tiny. No, for this one is it's a bit tiny for display. Let me see this one. If I can zoom this to 100. No. This one you may just have to listen to me what I mentioned. But when you have this copy, you will be able to see these words because this is a picture. So the threat of new entry is what I'm trying to look at. Okay? The time and the cost of entering the money lending. So what are you looking out for? Is it high? Is it longer time? Or it is lower cost? If it is low, what is the implication? Too many people will enter. If it is high, very few will enter, making the industry attractive. Specialist knowledge. If you want to start a dental clinic in Kampala, threat of entry, okay, let's say threat of entry to provide audit services in accountants. It needs specialist knowledge. You have to be a CPA. Recently, they announced that CPAs are the only ones who are supposed to sign off audited books of accounts. Okay, and before an entity files annual returns, which they now have to attach the audited books of accounts as they file the annual returns. Now, every entity will be forced to have a CPA we are associated with them, either as an employee or a consultant. So, threat of entry to provide audit services it is what? It is a law because it requires specialist knowledge. So that industry is still attractive. Then economies of scale. When I enter this industry, do I still need to establish my road network, my distribution network? Already they are existing. If MTN has already set up masts, can I just sub-rent? The technology protection and the various barriers to entry. So when I'm discussing threat of new entrants, I'm looking out for such aspects, whether they are high or low. Then competitive rivalry. What are the number of competitors in the telecom sector? Is there a difference in quality or there are other differences? What are the switching costs? You know, most people, that's why MTN has high switching costs, because your grandmother, your uncle, your what, all have MTN. So you cannot even say you're using Leica for making calls, if Leica is offering call services. Or mobile money, they were recently licensed to offer mobile money. So there is a high switching costs. Then customers are loyal to MTN. Customer loyalty, is it high or low? If it's low, then the industry is attractive for you. If it is high, it's not attractive for you. Competitive rivalry. Supplier power and buyer power. These ones are all, they have the same number of suppliers or number of customers. Size of suppliers or size of each order for the buyer. Uniqueness of the service, differences between the competitors. So these ones you are looking for. Then the threat of substitution. How is the substitute performing and what is the cost of change? So all that is what brings about competitive rivalry. So these are the 5 forces model. So Porter's 5 forces. This one is the exam technique. Well, it's still a free lecture, so even those who will get the bonus. Now, when you are asked Porter's 5 forces, you need to apply when asked to analyze the industry. Only use this model to analyze the industry, unless, of course, the examiner says, use Michael Porter's 5 forces, then obviously. But if they ask you to analyze an industry, a marketplace, or analyze the competition, actually, I think I've seen this somewhere in one of the questions, to assess the competition, the examiner brings a stray bullet. You have been cramming that they will ask Michael Porters. They are telling you to analyze the competition. My dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, an analysis of the industry, the marketplace, or the competition, whichever the examiner asks you, it relates to the application of Michael Porter's 5 forces model. Okay? So to ease, this one is now exam approach.
Pardon?
Okay?
Pardon.
Is this a question or? All right. So these are some of the examples that I've put here for threat of new buyers, bargaining power of buyers or suppliers. These are some of the examples that you need to have at the tip of your fingers, so that when you see them in the case study, you know whether it is higher economies of scale or higher barrier, higher or higher. You know, you are looking out, and you are in your explanation, you're going to use those words high, low, and so on. So that is the Michael Porter's 5 forces model. Now, let me do one last thing in this introductory lecture. Before we do another, let me share another screen. Just a moment. All right, we are going to look at a question that tells you what strategic planning is all about. Our very first question. Now, this is something new that I've introduced in the other classes. Sometimes I used to handle theory, but now I want to show you a question here. Confirm if you can see this other question one. Members,
Yes,
can you
we
see?
can see.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay, so our very first question is on strategic management. And there is, let's say the examiner has provided you a case study. Segrinya Muhammad is a financial controller of the medium-sized supermarket. Okay, so this is a question. Okay, we first begin by understanding what is required of us. Write a memo to the financial controller describing what strategic management is. Okay, and also justifying the need for strategic management accounting, 25 marks. Okay, so let's just underline this. All right, so you are going to describe what strategic management is, okay, and also justify the need. Now, this is exam approach. These are very key. So this question is two-way. So, but the student who is in a rush is going to only answer one way. But they are asking you two questions. But these are 25 marks, okay? One is, there is also another requirement here. So all these are the hidden aspects of the question. And you have to answer all those three aspects for you to get the 25 marks. So if you skip one, you have lost some marks. One is to write memo, you need to earn those marks. The other is to describe what strategic management is, you need to earn those marks. Then justify the need for strategic management accounting or strategic management. You know, tomorrow it will be strategic management. It's the same thing. So what is this? They've given you just a case study of Segrinya Muhammad, who is a financial controller of a medium-sized, I think the font is okay, of a medium-sized supermarket located in downtown Kampala. His department comprises of himself as well as 2 management accountants and 5 cashiers. His counterparts in the sales and administration department are urging that the finance department is overstaffed. The head of administration was recently overheard saying, "How can you employ 2 people to prepare management accounts? Besides, what is important is whether we make a profit or loss, and the financial controller alone can surely deal with that. I believe we are employing a lot of unnecessary staff." Muhammad also had trouble convincing his colleagues, including the managing director, that there is need for some formal strategic management, strategic planning process. The last formal plan to be prepared was the business plan, and at the time of setting up the supermarket. Muhammad believes that the well-researched paper on strategic management will provide answer to this increasing criticism? Tomorrow you'll be asked to write a paper, write a concept note, okay? Write a paper, write a concept note, then you'll be lost. It is the same thing. You have been assigned to the task of writing this memo. That task of writing the memo is the same as if you're assigned the task of writing a concept paper, and the answer is the same. You just need to change the headings. All right, let's dive into the answer shortly because I want to make this class shorter. Excuse me. So you are going to write a memo. Okay. You are going to write a memo. You are going to, because you are writing to the financial controller, from is you, the student, XXXXS, registration number, the date is this 11th January 2025. Then subject, this is your subject or reference. Or we rather call it subject or reference. Or you can even write it the way it is and underline it. We shall know that that's the subject. Report on strategic management, introduction. Tomorrow, if they ask you a concept paper, you say a concept paper on strategic management, introduction, because that's what they want from you. First of all, to describe strategic management and justifying the need for strategic management. All right. So we are saying that strategic management is a continuous process that involves the search for competitive advantage. What I described earlier on is all summarized in one word, the search for competitive advantage. Now, what is that competitive advantage? Competitive advantage means that you are ahead of your competitors in various aspects. That's why it has been called competitive advantage, because those various aspects the list is endless. You might be ahead in technology, human resource, your machines are good, your location is good, and so on. So you are performing very well, you're efficient. So competitive advantage is the achievement of efficiency at the highest levels. So strategic management involves the setting of goals, yes, setting various goals, the generation of the course of action, yes, to assist the achievement of those goals, evaluation of those options, and their implementation. Four-stage model described in a statement. The other four-stage model that we spoke about. A detailed discussion of the various stages involves, all right, the following. Now you are beginning to talk about the four-stage model because you have already discussed, you're describing you're trying to describe what strategic management is. Okay. Now you can discuss those various stages. Setting of targets. This involves describing the strategic direction of an entity. Where do we want to go? The direction will be depicted by the corporate goals, objectives, as well as the mission and vision. The strategic direction gives the organization absence of such clarity poses questions as to where the organization wants to be. So if you don't have a strategy, you are not sure, ideally. So you want to know where you are going. So you set the targets, 10 billion in 5 years. Then you begin scanning the environment, the other process. So you need to review, or there is a need to review the operating environment in which the company operates. This environment includes internal as well as the external aspects. All these need to be examined in detail. Why? Because you will be able to identify the strengths and weaknesses so as to pave way for generation of course of action. So after setting the targets, and you scan the environment. In our 4-stage model, of course, we combine this as one stage. That's why 4-stage model, you can split it, set the target, scan the environment. Then generation of course of action. Also, this generation of course of action, having identified the objectives of this and what the entity wants, you have scanned the environment. You want to know now, what are we going to do? Having identified that this entity has resources, capability, the company can now consider the various alternative means through which it can achieve its set objectives. Then it selects the best option. All options generated are evaluated against the same criteria. The objective is to select the best option which meets the criteria best. The evaluation criteria includes SAF, selection, acceptability, and feasibility. We shall look at this process. It is what strategy is all about. Strategy, the topic strategy is these stages. We shall look at them like we already started with scanning the environment. I believe you remember we scanned internally, external aspects, then we began that micro external environment using micro porters, 5 forces. So at the end of the topic of strategy, we shall also look at what they call implementation, how we can choose the course of action to be implemented. Then we review and control our decisions. Periodically, of course, there is need to assess the extent. Someone is saying something. Yeah, they look different. You can put the 4-stage model. If you remember the 4 stages, if you know and you're explaining the 4 stages, it will still mean the same thing, only that this one is split. Like I've said, setting targets and scanning the environment. In 4 stage, you can just put them as one, scanning the environment, or position audit. Then generation of action and selection of the best is also one, evaluation. Then implementation, then control and review. Those are 4. But here you can split it into those finer details. We are trying to split it into those finer details. So when you assess and review those, how far you are going with those targets and whether the organization is making progress. Then, so now that you are done with it, describing, that was one part of the question. It is not split into part A or B. They just combined it so that some student may leave out the other part. But for you, you are very alert. Yes, the question required the 4-stage model, describing what strategic management is. But also it requires another aspect, which is justifying the need. Why you should do is now what we want to look at. This one. The need for strategic management. Okay, now you are justifying the need for. Now, look at need for. Need for, it assists. Now you're justifying need for. I want you to see the question very well, because this is where need for. These questions are very tricky that you can just slip if you're not paying attention to the question. Actually, whenever you're reading the question, it is on the question that there is so much to first ingest and understand, because it is there that the examiner is always trying to make you make a mistake on something you even know. Now you see, this is the need for, and you are justifying. So even your answer is you can use the same words of the examiner. They needed to do this. So strategic management, the need for strategic management needed to be. Now you're also using the examiner's answer. His words, his wording aligned with the strategy. So strategic management accounting or strategic management, just assume this word is not there. You are ignoring it, okay, in your mind. But tomorrow it will be asked as strategic management accounting. Assist in aligning the organizational goals with its strategy. That's why you're coming up with a strategy. You are trying to align the goals of the organization with its strategy. For example, investment decisions need to be planned in accordance with the strategic budgets. So you need to align them with the vision or the organization's strategy. They need to be aligned with strategy. Sometimes strategic management accounting is useful in ascertaining competitor strategies. You are assessing the competitors. It helps you to assess the competitor strategy. Assessment of such strategies with regard to how they impact on the company is crucial or is a crucial part of the strategic management accounting. The need to price products in accordance with the strategic targets. Pricing decisions need to match the organizational strategy. For example, if the firm is using the cost leadership strategy, we shall look at what it means in the future. Then they need to ensure that their pricing matches their strategy. Sometimes there are typos. The need for optimal financing, you need to finance because you as a business advisor, you need to know if these people who want to be 10 billion, whether they have the money to do marketing, to hire experts to achieve their goal of 10 billion. So the financing decisions should be matched with the strategic targets. Do they have the sufficient working capital, or are they investing in long-term or short-term? And for example, if additional machinery is required to be acquired at a certain point in time, then the management should be able to ensure that the funds are available, their liquidity, as and when they are needed. What if they have tied the money? They are making a strategy of 5 years, but they have bought a 20-year treasury bond, and all their money is tied in a 20-year treasury bond. But in their strategy of 5 years, they are talking about maybe doing building and what, and they don't have the money. So you need, as a consultant, to understand are they optimally financed. The need for performance assessment. Coming up with a strategy helps you to conduct a performance assessment, evaluation and control, to ensure that these objectives are aligned with the organization. So this assessment will involve assessment of the budget performance, as well as things like variance analysis. So in other words, even the benefits or these need or justification for if you're a smart student, if you know the 4-stage model, you will know the benefits and you will come up with them or the need for. Sometimes you see the answering technique for need for, justification for. But if it was like justify has positive and negative, but justify, need for, justify for, justification for, it is a benefits. Just a twist of words, English, okay? So you need to pay attention to the English very, very much, and understand what the examiner wants. Ideally, if this question was given to you, you'll find there will be people who will miss out that they needed a memo. Then there are those who will miss out to describe the strategic plan. Then there are those who will miss out justification for, the need for. So in all, to get these 25 marks, you needed to be alert on 3 major things to get these 25 marks. So it looks like a very simple question, but it's not so simple as you have seen, as we have demonstrated. So I think this is where our lecture is going to end today. It's a what? An introduction. But what are the key takeaways? The key takeaways is that strategy is very interesting. Number 2 is that I want you to be consultants, business advisors, management, be advisory should be yours, business advisors, business plan designers. I want you to be the HR when they are in a board. When there is a board meeting, you should be able to contribute if you are in attendance. If it is a departmental meeting, you should be able to contribute. If you are going for an interview, you should have the confidence at the end of this course. But for today alone, you must know what strategic planning is. You must know the need for strategic planning. You must be able to explain what formulation of a strategic plan, the stages, the 4 stages, what it involves, and what strategy is about. You should be able to tell someone that strategy is like this, the strategic plan, and you should be able to also explain the first stage of the strategic planning, which is scanning the environment. And you should be able to tell your friends who are not here and they are doing the same paper with you that when you are scanning the environment, you are conducting a position audit. You are trying to understand the environment of the client, and you are understanding it internally and externally. And what is the internal environment like? What is the external environment? Then external environment, there is the micro and the macro external environment. And in the micro external environment, there is that scholar called Michael Porters, who came up with the Michael Porters 5 forces model. What is the use of the 5 forces model? The 5 forces model is used to assess industry attractiveness or competitor analysis. You are trying to analyze the competition in the environment, the business environment that you want to enter into, or you are already there, but usually the business that you want to enter into. So what are these 5 forces? You should be able to explain that it's competitive rivalry, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of customers, and the threat of substitutes. So you should be able to talk it in your head before even you say, Stephen, where are the notes for yesterday's lecture? Will you be able to remind yourself tomorrow morning, or as you go to sleep, or at your free time, get 30 minutes, try and remind yourself. If you are free and you have your desk and a pen, you just sit down and try to write what I've just said now. That yesterday, we learned this. So now you know why I said you needed to have a notebook. That notebook will be for trying to recall what was learned. And this question will be shared with you all, plus this solution. So this will be the approach that we shall be taking for most of the areas that we'll be discussing. I'll try my best to pick a question because this time around I want to handle both. I show you a model, I pick a question, and we go through it the way we've just gone through this, so that I send it to you. You also go through it and have a feel, because people are being overwhelmed by so many essays when they go to the exam, and they are not free to be. Their mind is not free at that moment because it will be overwhelmed. All right. Any questions? Members, I think for me, I'm done. Any questions?
CP Steven, thank you so much for that introduction. I think we're seeing greater days ahead from what we have seen now. And I think we just need to be committed to not only to pass the paper, but also to gain the skills and the knowledge to apply it in the field. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Moses. Any other questions? Maybe you came late. Maybe there's something you want to ask and like that.